Okay, good morning. Thank you for coming to learn how retail skills can transfer to other industries. My name is Mary Kaufman and I work for the Department of Workforce Development in the Bureau of Job Service. Prior to working for the state, I was a manager in the retail industry for quite a few years. And I also have recruited here in the Dane County area with a company for various positions and a variety of employers. I'd like to talk to you today about transferable skills. Transferable skills are skills that you can take with you from one job to another that will assist you in your new role. Some common transferable skills are communication, dependability, adaptability, things like that. Today I'd like to talk about transferable skills that you learn specifically in the retail environment. So it doesn't mean you can't learn them somewhere else, but you have to have them if you work in retail. There are 5. The first one is customer service. So at the very center of success for retailers is the level of customer service that they deliver, and you have been part of that. The second, multitasking. So whether you're a point of sale associate, a freight associate, sales manager, or store manager, you have to be able to multitask in a retail environment. Being at the cash register, sure, your primary goal is to get people through the line, but you also have to keep your aisle stocked and faced. Sometimes you have to back up in another department if the demand at the register is low. Sometimes you have to help back up customer service. If there is freight that can be unpacked, maybe it's smaller and you can unpack it at the register, that's something else you have to do. Sometimes in smaller retailers you have to answer the phone. So there are lots of things that you may be doing at the same time. So multitasking, very important. Even as a freight associate, you have to know the layout of the store. You have to build shelving, take it down, make it appropriate for the product that's coming in. If you're unloading and stocking freight during store hours, you have to be able to provide good customer service to the people who are shopping. So again, many things are going on all the time in retail, and you have to be able to multitask. Time management is the third. So typically an 8-hour shift in retail feels like far fewer hours because there's always something to do. If you are working, let's say, in a department and you're unloading freight, and activity breeds activity. So the customers come over, they want to see what you're unloading. They have questions about that. And you're trying to put it on the shelves, but of course you're delivering good customer service. And pretty soon you've been talking to them, now you know how many children they have, why they don't like the color blue, you've given them their information and their product, they've moved on. You understand that this is going to happen again in 2 minutes with another person. Now you've been called to back up the registers, so you have to make it to the front of the store and help all the customers that stop you along the way, get to the registers, help get through that line, and then remember that you have that cart of freight that you still have to get out in the department that's at the back of the store. And now you have to get back there to unload that freight and help all the customers along the way. So 8 hours is never enough for all the tasks that have to be done on your shift. Whether you're an entry-level employee in retail or a store manager, there's just never enough time. The list never ends. And if you don't have good time management skills, you won't be able to get the brunt of what is required of you done in that time that they've given you. So time management is very important. And taking that to a new employer where you don't have all of those multiple demands simultaneously will help you be a good producer for your new employer. The fourth is adaptability and improvisation. So in retail, just like other industries, attendance is important. And if you have one person call in, suddenly your tasks or assignments are adjusted. Maybe you were going to be in a department, now you're going to be on the register. And you have to be able to flex with that and be adaptable because it happens all of the time. Maybe the truck is delayed and now everybody has different tasks. So you have to be adaptable to that. Most retail employees are cross-trained so that when this happens, they can go to another department or be assigned another task and the store can keep moving and the customers can still be taken care of. Improvisation, you're sold out of a product that was in an ad, you have people in front of you that want that product, So to be able to improvise and understand what products are in the store and then redirect them to a different solution helps the business, definitely, helps you in your role, and helps the customer. And so being able to think on your feet is, again, another skill that's really important going into another industry. The fifth one and final one that we'll talk about today, you have a sheet there that lists many more, is being able to follow a process. So if retailers are going to be successful, they need to communicate consistently to all of their sites about what they want done and how they want it done. So most of the time they deliver this in a process-oriented way. So first you do this, then you do this, and then you're done. So if you think about a visual planogram, you need to set an end cap. This is how you set it. This is the distance between shelves. This is the product that goes on it. You may not have all of that product, so again, having that knowledge and being able to improvise plays in here. But being able to follow a process will help you going into a new industry because you're accustomed to getting all of the information and understanding how those pieces fit together, and then double checking your work. So you're used to checking off the different steps. Everybody isn't like that, and so you have that skill that you can bring to a new employer. Of the 5, customer service and the level at which you execute that, hopefully it's excellent, is very important to your new employer. So if you are good at that, you should ribbon that through your answers in an interview, because really what employer isn't excited about hearing how you're going to be responsive and accommodating to both their internal and external customers. So if you have that skill, it's very important to talk about that. Even sometimes people struggle understanding, I'm a freight associate, so how do I talk about customer service? You can be a freight associate and be focused on unloading things, but if a customer approaches you or your coworker approaches you and you can't deliver some kind of good customer service to them, you're doing the business more harm than good. So you can get the product out, but it doesn't matter as much if you aren't kind and accommodating and responsive to the customers. In preparation for this webinar, I looked at many of the postings that our employers have listed, the employers that are going to be guaranteeing interviews on the event on August 22nd. I looked through the postings. I identified words, phrases, skills that I thought aligned with what the skills are you have if you have worked in retail. I picked out 2 job postings that I'd just like to chat about a little bit to show you how your skills transfer over into another industry. So the first is the posting for a customer care specialist, and this is a position in a contact center. So a contact center is the place your call goes when you call the customer service number on the back of a product. So there's a big sea of employees and someone is going to answer your call and help you out. The first 4 bullets in this are answers incoming calls, makes outgoing calls, fields escalated calls, and provides information about product and service. So answering incoming calls, a retail employer can do one better than just answer that call because they have talked to the same population of people live and in person with no routing, no heads up about what they're calling about. Typically in a contact center, you're receiving some sort of information on your screen as you're saying hello. So you at least maybe know their name, why they've called, notes if they've called before. In retail, you don't have that luxury. Somebody's just coming in and they have an issue and you have to figure out what that is and how you're going to help them. So in a contact center, it's one customer at a time on the phone. Sure, the calls come in one after another, but you don't have 5 people at once that want that product in that box. And can you get it now? And how much is it? And what color is it? And what does it do? So you have one person at a time. So you can take all of that energy you use to help the 5 customers, you can focus that in on the one customer you're trying to serve. Returning customer inquiries or outgoing calls. If you worked in a department in a retail setting, you answered the phone or a call was directed to your department, you might have been helping a customer in person. You have to put that person on hold, go get the phone, figure out what that person wants, take some notes, tell them you'll call them back, give them a time that you'll get back to them by, and go find the information and then get it back to them. So making an outgoing call in a contact center, you have basically the information that you need, and it's accessible from your computer typically. don't have to get up and run around. So again, you can take the energy that you spent doing that and focus in to be more efficient and effective in getting those responses back to the customer. Fielding escalated calls. So again, same population typically that you're pulling from, except the person is on the phone and you have an idea of what their issue is. In retail, they just are coming at you, and sometimes you have people who are very irate and are not considering the scene or who it's affecting. The fact that you have to have some situational awareness of who else is around you and how that escalating volume may affect your other customers. You have to diffuse that, appease them, solve that problem, help everybody else. Maybe you're on a register, you're still ringing people up. So in a contact center, you have an irate person, but just like we talked about in the other two examples, you can put your total focus on that person. You already have experience diffusing, and so you can do that on the phone and help get to their issue and help them get it solved sooner. And finally, provide product information. This really is at the heart of working in retail as well. Now, people can find anything they want out about a product themselves in a store. If they have access to Google or some other search engine, they can Google the product, find out anything they want about it, reviews, testimonials. They'd still rather hear it from you, typically as the associate, so that's just more reassuring to have a live person telling you about it. So if you've worked in this environment, you understand that some of your time is going to be spent researching a variety of products from a variety of manufacturers. You never knew that you would know so much about a Dyson vacuum ever. So that just repeats every day. And so providing product information, for example, this company services their own product. So you can learn all about the company, their product, what their mission is, what the underlying similarities are between products, and then just look up the specifics to get to the customer. So again, aligned with what you have done. So the second example would be maybe for a supervisor or manager in retail. This position was for the customer care supervisor. And again, I just pulled these two examples in the interest of time and the audience here. But the customer care supervisor takes care of the entire call floor. So all of the contact center agents that are on the phone. There are 18 bullet points of essential duties and responsibilities in this job posting. That's just the first part before you even get to qualifications. And looking through those 18, 2 through 18, easily align with what a supervisor or manager does in retail. The first one, which is likely a big chunk of the job because it's listed first, might be a deterrent for a supervisor or manager to apply. Not all, but it might be. And I just want to go through that a little bit and talk about how you can talk about your skills with an employer so that they see you as a viable candidate, even if you don't have this literal and specific experience. So the first on the list is to partner with the training team to create trainings and identify training needs. And so if you've been a supervisor or manager in a retail environment, you have executed a lot of trainings. So maybe you trained on safety, you did new hire training, register training, incentive training, policy training, planogram training. You've executed all of these trainings, but again, that information likely came from a corporate office. If you worked in the store, you probably didn't write those trainings. But you have some experience executing them and understanding who your staff is and how they receive information and how you might have to double check to make sure they got it, and then inspect the expectations. So a couple weeks down the road, are they doing what you trained in the correct way? And so while you didn't write trainings, and this bullet point indicates that you should probably have experience writing trainings, I would really challenge you to think about what you know about trainings. Because really, aside from writing them, you have experience in all the other areas of them to understand what people need to know when they get the training, why they need the training, what kind of training they need to be successful. So you know all of the back end things about the trainings. And I would challenge you to talk about how you could likely create a training based on all of that experience. The point in going through that example is to encourage you to read through job postings with a different perspective. So coming out of retail, you have a lot of skills, And it's sort of hard to nail them down and talk about them in a different way, in a different industry. So I would challenge you to think about the things that you've done in a different way. So when you go through a job posting, it would be important to look at those essential duties and, the essential duties, and go through all 18 bullet points if they are there, and find a concrete example of why you know you could do that. So in some fashion you have experienced that, or you wouldn't feel like you could do that job probably. The onus is on you to understand what your skill set is too, and not go after jobs that maybe you need a further training or you need more education or something like that. But for the most part, when you read a job description, oftentimes you're like, I can do that. And now you have to find out examples from your own experience, list them out, say them out loud. It's a lot of work on the front end, but after you do that for a few job postings, you'll have this library of experiences and examples that are from you that you can tailor to those different job postings. Retail is a great place to learn all of these skills that you can use across different industries. So the expectation just really never stops in retail. The work never stops. The product never stops coming in. It never stops going out. The customers never stop coming in the door. They never stop leaving. Oftentimes there's a third shift. So once you've finished your task list, if that ever happens, you will be given more tasks. You will have to back up at a register. It just never stops. And there aren't a lot of industries where just the number of things that you are asked to do and the tight labor margins that are run to do those things gives you strong skills. It gives you endurance. Your customer service skills will allow you to take the new information in graciously and try to understand that with your process-oriented outlook. So you have a lot of skills, but it's really up to you to go through these job postings, figure out how your skills fit, research the company, understand how you fit into that company. We can't leave it up to the employer or the potential employer to figure out how your skills fit into their roles. Some of them are good at that. Some of them are just focused on their industry, and that's okay. But if you want to work in there, you have to help them see how you have the skills to bring value to their business and to help them succeed as well. So on August 22nd, we're having an event where UW Health and Exact Sciences have guaranteed interviews to those that want to participate. So that gives you some time to identify some of their postings and go in and get the experience of interviewing with somebody in another industry. And again, they have many job postings. These were just two I selected for this particular webinar. But if there's something in there that you think you can do, take those duties and responsibilities and apply them to your experience and then tell them all about it. So, thank you. Are there any questions at all? So you could go to their websites, UW Health or Exact Sciences. They both post with Job Center of Wisconsin as well. And so you can search by keyword. Really, probably their websites are going to be the best to find those job postings. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.